Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Em The Dore podcast, the official podcast of Jalen Mahoney. In fact, he was so impressed when we DM'd him asking him to get on the podcast, he was left speechless.
Speechless to this day, even.
He's still speechless, matter of fact. Anyways, moving on to today's podcast, Chris, you wanna give us a little outline real quick?
Yeah, of course. So, we've missed a couple weeks. We've had some scheduling conflict. It was fall break. Things happen, But we're hoping to be more regular. We're hoping to kind of put them out on Thursdays.
Every Thursday night.
Every single Thursday. If we have interviews with different athletes, which we plan on having, which we're scheduling right now, we might have a little extra episode, which you can always find on our Instagram and Twitter. But for this specific episode, because we've missed a couple weeks, we're going to first detail football and the 4 football games that we've missed while we've been gone, which is, we have Florida, South Carolina, Mississippi State, and then we're going to preview from Missouri. And there's been a lot happening in the football side of things. And then we are also doing the soccer that's happened, which is...
we got 4 games since the last podcast we put out: Arkansas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M. Not in that order. But we're going to give you that. We got a special announcement coming at the end that we're going to talk about there. And without further ado, football, Chris.
Yeah, so, just starting off general with football, our offense doesn't really do much. For the first couple of games, for the first 6 games of the season, we started Ken Seals, and he, has like a 55.3% completion percentage.
Through about 6 games?
Yeah, through the 6 games that he's played in. And, he's looked all right at best, and at worst, he's looked really incapable of playing at a high SEC level. I believe in Ken Seals. I think he can develop into a really, really good player.
For sure.
But I think right now it is definitely his starting job as a quarterback in the SEC right now is definitely in peril. He got hurt in one of the games, and so for the past 2 games, being South Carolina and Mississippi State, Mike Wright has actually started, which I know a lot of people are lobbying for. I was personally in favor of Mike Wright starting because he adds just different elements to the game. And he actually, the big knock on Mike Wright actually is his lack of development as a passer. And so, people would say, put Ken Seals in, he can throw the ball. We don't want another running back on the field. We already have 3 of them. But actually, Mike Wright, he has, more air yards per attempt. He has almost 1.5 yards more actual yards per attempt. He has a higher completion percentage. He doesn't have a high sample size, so you can't really, there's certain things that you can't put a whole ton of merit into. And I guess we'll see how that continues as he gets the start as Ken Seals is hurt. But just in general, I really feel like Mike Wright fits our offensive coordinator's system a lot better.
That's true.
Yeah, so our offensive coordinator, he worked with the Arizona Cardinals wide receivers and then the Green Bay Packers for a while. And, during those times, you have quarterbacks like Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers, both of whom are relatively known for extending plays, letting their wide receivers work down the field. And Ken Seals isn't really the most mobile quarterback in the whole world.
Not like Kyler Murray.
No, definitely not like Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's special, though. But it just, we've tried to run Ken Seals on some designed rushes, and they've just been ugly because even though, our offensive line is not wonderful. And so we don't create huge lanes for any of our rushers anyway. And so when you don't have a, specifically talented rusher like Mike Wright is instead of Ken Seals, you just don't get any production out of him.
Ken Seals hasn't broken even on yards rushing.
Yeah, he has...
negative point?
He has -7 yards total.
-7 yards. That's counting sacks as well.
Yeah, he has technically 35 rushing attempts on the season, but, some of those are sacks. And he hasn't gotten more yards rushing than the sacks that he's had. Whereas Mike Wright, he averages 3 yards a rush, which is also included with sacks. So, I mean, realistically...
On design runs, he gets places.
Yeah,
Simple.
And not only does the designed runs get yards for the offense, but it opens up so much. There was a play versus South Carolina where it was a speed out from to the weak side of the field from Mike Wright, and you see all these linebackers really, really over pursue to seal the edge because they know Mike Wright can be dangerous in space. And it allowed one of our wide receivers, I believe it was Will Shepherd, but I could be wrong. He just acted like he was blocking and then ran a little post route, and it was like a 50-yard gain. And so having that explosiveness on our offense is something that I really haven't seen from Ken Seals. So I really think that in general, Mike Wright is probably a better win now and potentially continue to develop and win later option, considering he's just a sophomore.
Exactly. Like, Mike Wright as a dual threat quarterback is successful.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Seals has the arm. He doesn't have the legs. Defenses are thinking, or they're knowing, rather, that Ken Seals is going to throw the ball. He's not going to successfully run the ball, most likely. Mm-hmm. So they're keyed into the receivers. And we've got nice receivers.
Yeah,
they can make these plays. However, when defenses have to think, what if he runs as well as Mike Wright does? Mm-hmm. They have a whole nother element of what they need to think about. And that leads to success. Simple. That's what it is.
Yeah. Also, just in general, both college football and the NFL even, it's almost like there's a transition from this basic pocket passer. Like, I mean, obviously Tom Brady's still having success.
But guys like Ben Roethlisberger,
yeah,
with no mobility. You can't survive in any league anymore.
Yeah, you need that mobility. Like, even Alabama, which has always had, pretty pocket passer, game manager quarterbacks throughout their stretch of dominance in the past years. They've had, Tua, who is doing all right in the NFL. But
in college, he performed and was mobile and did well.
Yeah, and now they have Bryce Young, who's slippery. Matt Corral at Ole Miss, he tore up University of Tennessee with his own designed runs.
That was a game.
That was a game. But it's just, you need to have, I think, in the modern era of football, that level of mobility at all levels. Like, you can't have somebody who isn't an athlete on the field.
I'd agree. It's just it's the trend that football's taken right now, and I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
I like to see it. I think it leads, obviously, to success in football if that's the way that things are going. And I like to see Mike Wright being there. My biggest issue, and the thing that made me think maybe we should start Ken Seals, is the growth potential there. I thought Ken Seals would develop to be a really good passer, which he still can. Mm-hmm. But Mike Wright has shown that he's a capable passer, which was my thing. I thought, Mike Wright can run the ball. He can throw off defenses. But does he have the passing ability that Ken Seals has? And in these last few games, Chris,
he definitely seemed like it in South Carolina. Nothing on our offense really worked against Mississippi State. But as we kind of delve into the specific games, we'll kind of get into that for sure. It's just Ken Seals. He had a great freshman year, to be honest. For Vanderbilt quarterback standards,
for a true freshman.
Yeah, he played
phenomenal.
Very well. He played above expectations for sure.
That's true.
And so going into this year, he was thrown into a new system, and
new head coach, new offensive coordinator. They got a new guy running plays, being their quarterback coach.
Yeah, I feel like people don't understand how big of a difference that makes on quarterbacks.
Because he's had a transition already to being in college at the collegiate level, playing under Derek Mason, his offensive coordinator, and all his other coaches. He got used to that, and he did well last year. And now he's got to restart everything because we've got Clark Lee and our offensive coordinator and our quarterbacks coach and everybody new in that system.
Right.
So you got to give him a little grace because nobody can get tossed into a new system and do well.
Right.
But
especially when you're that young.
Yeah, exactly.
You expect
these guys are kids.
Yeah, when you're in the NFL, you kind of expect there to be less of a period where you struggle a lot. But I mean, Ken Seals has to be 19.
He's our age. These people are in college.
Yeah.
Gotta remember that.
Yeah, and so he's having a bio test on Friday. He's not a biology major, I don't think, but he theoretically could have taken a bio test on Friday and then having to learn somebody's defense on Saturday as well as learning his own calls.
He's an HOD major.
He's an HOD major.
I believe he's an HOD major.
That makes sense.
Score one for HOD majors.
Well, he got benched.
Never mind.
We're not scoring for 8
Anyways,
majors.
Chris, you want to break down the individual games now?
Yeah. So Florida, it happened a few weeks ago. We actually got shut out in the game, but I don't think we should have. We played a little bit better than the score. I think it was 42-0, which we were not going to win the game at Florida. And we talked about that, I think, at the end of last podcast.
We did, yes.
We are not expecting to win any SEC games, to be honest with you. I thought I actually tweeted out on the show Em The Dore that we had a fan tweet at us and say, hey, is Vanderbilt going to win any SEC games or any more games, I think is what he said. And I said, we're not going to be favored in any other game that we play this season, because we are just, not only are we finding our identity on both offense and defense.
Young team, new coach, stuff
yeah,
like that.
it's also, people, when you have like Vegas betting lines and favorites, it's almost more about notoriety than anything else.
We don't have the raw talent and name that guys like Alabama have,
right?
That Ole Miss have, stuff like that.
Alabama could have their starting quarterback get hurt and they'd still be favored in like 90% of their games, but Vanderbilt just doesn't have that. Like, they don't have that, and
not now.
Yeah, and so we're actually the only games I said that we would have a chance in terms of winning are South Carolina and Missouri. Now we should have beat South Carolina, but that's, again, we'll get to it later.
Get there.
But also, when it comes to Missouri, who we play next week as this episode is coming out, I think we have a chance to beat them. They're one of the teams I think we have a decent matchup towards, because even though they probably have more raw talent on their team, I think how we match up definitely gives us a chance to win the game.
For sure.
But so in Florida, we got shut out. We weren't expected to win. We missed 3 field goals.
Yeah, after kicking the game-winning field goal against UConn, to miss 3 field goals, 3 good opportunities. They were within, I believe, 45 yards, all of them. 30s, and one in the 40s, I think. To miss 3 field goals in one game, it's just a blown opportunity there. Of course, 9 points off of those field goals isn't going to make us win the game.
We weren't going to win.
It would have still been 45-9. But those are points off the board. That's momentum, and it's growth as a team that we're kind of being stunned by.
It's all baby steps when you have a young team.
Yeah, exactly. 3 points is another step in the right direction for a team.
Right. Even scoring on like a ranked team as a young Vanderbilt team, I think is an important thing in terms of creating steps forward for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I said that if we were going to miss that many field goals, I don't mind it being in the Florida game, because I mean, it's not like we lost to South Carolina 21-20. If we had missed a field goal at the end of that game, I would have been marginally more upset.
We would have tweeted.
Yeah, we would have tweeted.
We would have tweeted.
But so the Florida game, it was fine. I mean, I thought our defense made stops at different points in the game, and I think our defense was actually extremely underrated as a unit and as a whole.
Oh, for sure. They performed better than expected.
Yeah, we're extremely opportunistic. Like, they are ranked number 9 in the nation in terms of just interceptions.
3 in the SEC too.
Really?
Yeah, number 3 in the SEC for interceptions.
And so, you'd think that with a team that creates that many turnovers, that they would actually be positive in the turnover margin, but because of all of our offensive struggles, along with miscommunications and subpar offensive line play at different times, we are actually -4 on the turnover margin, which is not optimal. I think we're ranked like 182 in the nation with -4.
We average turning the ball over about 2 times a game. Isn't that right?
It's a little under, but yeah.
A little under 2. And we cause turnovers on the defensive side
over 1 a game.
Around 1.5 times a game. So when we're getting the ball 1.5 times a game off a takeaway, to then give it back twice a game is not a sign of...
It's disheartening.
It is disheartening. Because your defense goes out there, fights their hardest, gets the ball back, and then sets you up to give it right back. There was one play, we get an interception, very first play after that.
Yeah, that was in Mississippi State.
Mississippi State game. We'll get to that. But
yeah, we keep getting a little too ahead of ourselves, apparently.
I'm excited. I'm sorry. It's been a long time.
Vanderbilt football, I'm excited, actually. The thing is for the first time since I've been at Vanderbilt, and granted I'm only a sophomore, But it feels exciting to see Vanderbilt football because even though we were losing consistently, you see little signs of promise. You see, like our defense, I think is playing well.
Oh, yeah.
They're not the most talented defense in the nation, and they're not going to be in the next few years. But it seems like Clark Lee's system is showing signs of life in its first year, which is all you can really ask for any team in their first year, but especially Vanderbilt, which doesn't have that recruiting prowess that a lot of SEC teams do.
Exactly. And especially for Clark Lee, coming from a defensive coordinator spot at Notre Dame, a team that had a good defense.
Yeah.
To have him come in and really like put some life into a defense, the only change in our defense really from last season to this season is the personnel higher up, being Clark Lee. We haven't gotten really good defenders into the program. It's all the play calling. It's all the training. It's all what Clark Lee's putting into that. Mm-hmm. So I love to see that our defense is doing well under Clark Lee. I think that's the biggest thing that I foresaw at the beginning of the season, but now for some reason it's surprising to me that they're performing this well because it's really amazing. And it's all you can ask for. However, when the offense just plays like they do, it's not great.
It's the offense will have when Ken Seals was in as quarterback, we'd have like 5 consecutive drives where we'd have negative yards or under 5. And, at that point, time of possession just gets so shifted to the other team that you can't expect a defense to not give up points.
Yeah, when they're out there for 3/4 of the game, what you gonna do?
You can't do anything if your
defense
offense
can't
score
do all
points. Like, for instance, if you have there's a lot of teams that use tempo in NCAA football, and they want to get up to the line, run quick plays. That inherently also puts a lot of time of possession on their defense, but so much of football, in my opinion, is like a mental game that those speed offenses actually score very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so, in my opinion, that sort of rejuvenates the defense even. So it's a little different because I know just time of possession isn't necessarily the best statistic.
That's true.
It's how they get that time of possession.
If Alabama scores, in 3 plays and their defense goes right back out there, their defense is going to think, wow, our offense didn't let us down. Let's go play harder for them.
Yeah.
But when Vanderbilt defense goes in there and plays the way they do, gets their 2 turnovers a game, to then go out and watch their offense give up the ball after 3 plays.
It's just seeing that quarter after quarter, I can understand why our fourth quarter defense probably isn't the best.
I like you said it was disheartening, and I really like it. I think that's a good descriptor.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's the best way to put it. Is just
it takes the edge off of you. You're like, wow, well, but what was the point?
What I was really proud of is after that Florida game, we went into South Carolina. It was at South Carolina, and we ended up losing that game 21-20. But in my opinion, we really outplayed South Carolina.
Yeah, we do well.
Which is impressive considering that we are overmatched in terms of pure star out of high school talent on every single game we play. There is not a game that we will play other than ETSU and Colorado State.
UConn maybe.
Yeah, and UConn maybe, that we have a higher amount of pure talent. And so going into these SEC games, we're not expected to win. We definitely weren't expected to win any of our games. Even against Missouri, who we play next week, who is winless in the SEC, they're still projected to win by 16 points.
Yeah, we're winless too.
Yeah, we are also winless in the SEC, but I think that we are playing better than... We weren't expected to win any SEC games, first of all, so it's not like we're disappointing anybody right now.
We're right at the expectations.
I think we're above expectations.
Oh, for sure. Playing-wise.
Yeah, playing-wise. I mean, obviously, we haven't gotten that win on a...
Pure numbers were,
But... Anyway, so against South Carolina, what I really love that we did is the way our defensive scheme was set up. So what we did is Clark Lee decided that Luke Doty, who is the South Carolina quarterback, he doesn't do well under pressure. If you get some guys in his face, especially in the middle of the pocket where he has to roll out, he makes bad decisions. He'll throw the ball away too early. He won't see linebackers that have dropped in robber coverage, which is where a linebacker will kind of spy the quarterback's eyes and try to get interceptions.
Yeah.
And So he did that a majority of the game. You know, he ran stunts where defensive tackles would, you know, flip outside, and it causes some confusion among the offensive line. It got a lot of pressure throughout the game. Different blitzes got a lot of pressure throughout the game, and it caused Luke Doty to be uncomfortable. He, you know, they only had 14 points before the very last drive of the game. Our defense played well enough to destroy South Carolina. Our offense wasn't spectacular. It had Mike Wright in the game, and
We did make field goals that game.
we did. All of our field goals that we kicked that game, we made. So, big ups on both of us for that game.
Way to go.
Thanks,
Making
Joseph.
up for it.
Appreciate that one, Joe. But you know, there's just a couple plays where Mike Wright's legs obviously opened up the passing game, and it looked like, I think I tweeted about it during the game. It was one of the first times that I felt that the offense that we've been trying to implement was truly working.
Yeah.
It wasn't
like it's going according to game plan.
Yeah, it wasn't Ken Seals, somebody busting a coverage so we got 20 yards. It was our scheme actually worked.
Yeah.
And even just seeing little flashes of Vanderbilt football actually working, it was nice. It was
For sure.
refreshing. It was new, and I think that development of both talent and scheme as this season and in the next season, I think was so refreshing.
Exactly. That's how you win football games, is by, if your game goes according to your plan, that's how you win games. You put your defense out there, you see a quarterback having a problem, and you attack that issue, then you're going to do well. And that's just how it goes.
Right.
If you put your offense out there, you see your threats that you have on offense, and you draw plays for them to succeed, and they succeed, that's how you win games. That's good coaching. That's good performance as a team. And I'm really glad to see that, especially after a scoreless game before. So it's really nice to see them
Right.
still fighting hard.
Yes.
You can see that there's morale with it.
Like breaking news, if everything goes to your plan, you're probably going to win the game.
Game plan, score points, win the game.
Yeah.
This is big brain moves here.
Willem hit me with the, you know who wins the game?
The team who scores more. It's
Simple.
weird how that happens.
It's simple, really.
It's
I don't
almost
know
as if
why
that's
people don't
how
win every
football-
game.
That's what I'm saying. You know, game
Just-
plan. Put the ball in the end zone, keep them out.
Yeah.
Simple. And
Just don't let them score.
that's what we did fairly well that game.
Yeah, I
It
think
just
that
came down
we
to-
implemented that game plan pretty well.
Considering it was a 1-point game.
Yeah. What happened at the end?
Top tier
was-
analysis here. This is great.
Yeah, this is why people tune in. So at the end of the game was really the most frustrating part, because so they had maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, and they had their last drive. They were down 20-14. We had just kicked a field goal. People were feeling good, and throughout the entire game, again, we had thrown different stunts and blitzes like Luke Doty, and it had been working. And what happened is in that last drive, we decided that we were going to drop 8 into coverage every single play. The thing is that's the right philosophy for what you're supposed to do during that time. You're supposed to say, okay, you have to score a touchdown to win. So I'm going to guard the edges. I'm going to make you throw it in the middle of the field, and then you're not going to have enough time
Yeah,
to
take
score a
time off
touchdown.
the clock. Simple.
It was the right philosophy. It was just not what needed to happen in the game, because Luke Doty, he's not considered the greatest quarterback right now in the SEC, but he was pretty highly touted a couple of years ago when he came into South Carolina. The issue has become whenever he can't do things with pressure in his face. And so, but when Vanderbilt took away all that pressure and just threw 3-man rushes at him the entire last drive, I mean, he just carved up a 8-man zone with Vanderbilt defensive backs and linebackers in coverage. We have good players who want to play very hard, but it's not like we have some sort of like Minka Fitzpatrick type player who can just roam his zone and make big plays to a point where even if you are in zone, you don't get anything, almost like if it were playing lockdown man. And so it's just it was disappointing, because everything that had worked everything that had worked all game, we kind of threw out on the last drive, and it caused them to score, and They ended up winning the game because of it.
Simple. I got two things to say about that. First, I don't believe Minka Fitzpatrick is the name of a real person. Is that what you said?
Minka Fitzpatrick?
Minka Fitzpatrick. Who is that?
He was a safety at Alabama, drafted in the NFL by the Miami Dolphins, got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is considered one of, if not the best safety in the NFL.
Thank you, Encyclopedia of Football. Wow, what a name. Okay, moving beyond that, I'm sorry, I had to bring that up because I just couldn't.
You really don't know who Minka Fitzpatrick is?
I've never heard of anybody named Minka.
Huh.
He's
a really good player.
The more you know. The
Yeah.
more you know. That's the fact of the day.
You could also add Eddie Jackson, a different Alabama safety who is so fast that he can roam all parts of the field, if that makes you feel better.
Point is, we don't have those guys.
The point is, we do not have those guys. I don't know if I can name a safety on our team. Oh, Jenkins. No, I'm sorry. It's something Jerkins. He has 3 picks on the year. He's actually... He actually leads our team in picks. I guess.
Disrespect.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Jerkins.
On,
Please get on the pod.
What kind of podcast host are we?
We're gonna DM Jerkins, get him on the pod. Maybe
we're gonna make a formal apology to you.
Yeah, we're gonna send you
all other safeties on
a
the
letter.
Team.
Yeah, I mean,
Chris, you're off the podcast. This is inexcusable behavior. To get to my second point, the real point that I was making is in that last drive.
Mm-hmm.
We did what is conventionally known as how to, save the game. Get time off the clock. Fun fact, if you don't have time to score a touchdown, you can't win.
I've heard.
Yes, word on the street. However, we drifted from the philosophy all game of attacking their weakness. Mm-hmm. Their quarterback, good when he's in the pocket, when he has time in the pocket. When he has time in the pocket, he's making these plays to win the games.
Yeah.
When we force him out of the pocket, he's only putting up 14 points in darn near the entire game.
Yep.
So when we abandon the philosophy of attacking where we have an edge and doing what conventional football says, I don't know if we have the talent and the pure production at this moment to run conventional football. We have to attack with what we're strongest with and what they're weakest with.
Right.
And when we sacrifice that for what conventions say, I think that's not how you win certain games.
That's not how you win games when you're not a good team. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect any one of the Vanderbilt football players. We are just not a good team right now. I think that each of them can develop into good football players.
For sure.
I'm not.
The effort's there.
Yeah, I'm really not trying to be. A lot of people hate on Vanderbilt football, say we're trash and that we're always going to be.
But it's really impressive what these guys do.
Yeah.
Because we don't get these, top 50 recruits like the Alabamas and even the Tennessees and guys like that in the SEC. We've got guys that go out there
and play
their hardest.
Yeah.
That means we can use them to win, but we don't have the talent that even Notre Dame, the last team that Clark Lee coached, Notre Dame could have ended that game like that with their talent.
I hate Notre Dame. That's a side point, but I hate Notre Dame.
This is a Notre Dame hate podcast.
This is actually becoming
the official podcast of hating Notre Dame.
Only football though. Their basketball. I like
their basketball team.
The thing is, their basketball plays in the ACC, but their football team plays independent, and so they don't have to play anybody. And then the name alone gets them into the playoff, and then they'll get smacked by a team like Alabama, Ohio State, or Clemson these past few years. And I'm like, why were you even there? Like, I would rather see a team like Cincinnati this year actually make it into the thing, just because I want to see a non-Power 5 team in the playoffs, see how well they do. Not the point. Kind of a side rant, but we'll have an episode strictly on why I hate Notre Dame.
That'll be the YouTube exclusive episode.
Yeah, that'll be the YouTube exclusive.
Apple and Spotify users, don't worry. You won't have to be assaulted by Chris's opinions. If you like Notre Dame,
I don't
sorry,
like you.
Man. I'm sorry. Simple fact.
It's
I
an
apologize.
if-then statement. If you like Notre Dame, then I don't like you.
Reasoning. Simple. This is why we moving on to the next game.
Wait, hold on, real quick. Okay. Going back to what you said, because I think you made a really, really good point.
Darn right I did.
Is the fact is when you're a bad football team,
when you don't have the straight talent, pure talent.
Yes, that is what I mean by saying bad football team.
I don't like calling our football team bad. So
we are bad. Like, we don't win games. Okay,
sure.
When your football team has a distinct disadvantage in terms of talent.
I like that. I like the way you worded that.
It's
not offensive.
Yeah, I feel like Jalen Mahoney saw one of my tweets and was like, "I don't like this kid. I'm not gonna."
How are we going to beg them to get on a podcast if you're hating on them?
I don't hate on them. I just distinctly said I think all of our football players, they work very hard. I respect everything they do. I think they can develop into good players. Right now, we lose games. However, so when you have that distinct lack of talent, you have to force the game into where you have your advantages. You can't play like, for a lack of better term, gentleman's football. It's like, you want to. It's how football is thought to be played.
Yeah, in theory, on paper.
Yeah, on paper,
the game.
When you don't match up against their receivers, you want to play zone, and so you want to do things that convention tells you to. But say our cornerbacks suck, which I'm not saying ours do, but say hypothetically, say our corners sucked, and their offensive line was bad. I don't care that our cornerbacks are going to get burnt in man, because if we can get past their offensive line quickly, they don't have a chance to throw the ball. And so we have to play to our strengths when we're a team that doesn't have as much talent.
That's sports, and that's life, and that's winning.
Yeah.
You win when you attack to your strengths.
It's life?
Yeah. Listen, man, no. This is a good point. I attend Vanderbilt University not because I play football.
True.
If I were to say, convention says I can go to Vanderbilt on their football team, I'm not going to go attack at that point. I'm going to play to my strength, which is, getting in here for academics. I'm not here to pursue football.
Thank God.
But if you want to be on the team, I'd join.
Clark Lee.
I'm telling you. Line me up as a free safety. Chris could play tight end.
We'll try.
Inside linebacker, I'd put you.
No, I'm not fast enough.
Outside linebacker?
No, I'm not fast enough. I would only have to play tight end. That's the only thing I have a shot in.
You can line up in special teams.
I am a gunner of the gods.
If you want us on the team, we'll play. But the point is, when you attack to what you're good at, when you play to your strengths, that's where success comes from.
Right.
When you play to conventions, if you don't have the pure strengths, you're not going to get there. Mm-hmm. If your wide receivers suck, don't throw to your wide receivers. Run the ball. Simple. You know what I mean? It's not that hard. You don't have to think into it as much as convention says this,
Yeah. And so I think that there are situations where you definitely need to break what football analytics would say.
For sure.
Anyway, so I think that's a big point in transitioning to Mississippi State, because I don't feel like the strengths of Vanderbilt's football team is definitely running the ball over passing, which makes me sad because we have really great wide receivers.
I love our receivers, man.
And so if we can get some consistency in the passing game, I think it could be a really good passing attack. But right now we don't have that. So we definitely run the ball better. And I feel like...
Even without Ramon Davis.
Yeah, which is crazy. Our number one running back out for the season, we've had Patrick Smith and Rocco Griffin come in. And they're just running back by committee, absolutely tearing up. They tore apart.
Big ups to them.
Yeah, they deserve all the credit.
Ramon, whom we love. You're clapping right into the microphone.
That was the
Jack.
point. I thought you were gonna join me. You didn't. That's cool.
I'm sorry. Thing is, we lost Ramon Davis, who I loved. I think when you run the ball with Ramon Davis, winning comes. Simple. I love Ramon Davis. When he went out, I was like, well, there goes our running game. At least we have good receivers. Patrick Smith and Rocco Griffin. Phenomenal performances.
Yeah.
Considering they're just like, okay, y'all two are going to be our primary, running backs. Amazing job by them.
Patrick Smith
Successful
averaged like over almost 4.5 yards per carry versus South Carolina.
Yeah.
Which is impressive as a third running back anywhere, in my opinion.
Hands down. It's impressive what they've done.
Yeah.
It's impressive what a lot of our teams
And they deserve a lot of props.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more.
In terms of defense, I really don't know where our strengths lie, because at times we force a lot of interceptions, so you might say, oh, our corners are the reason for it. But I don't know.
You know what? I think it's just a really good overall effort. We attack the pocket pretty well. Not like super well.
No, we're like...
We don't cover the field super well.
We're bottom of the SEC.
It's some conglomerate of...
The best aspect of our defense is how opportunistic they are.
Yes, that's what it is.
Because we are actually like bottom of the SEC in sacks. I think we only have like 7 on the year, which is not
We
good.
don't force fumbles really.
No, we only have 2 recovered fumbles. We have 9 interceptions. So I want to say we're opportunistic. It's when we really take advantage of other teams' mistakes. And, every team makes a multitude of mistakes per game. No football team has a perfect game. It's all about, can the other team take advantage of it?
Yeah.
And I feel like we do that. I think that when a team makes a mistake, we capitalize. I don't think we force as many mistakes as we'd like to as a good defense.
Yeah.
And I think that as Clark Lee's system gets implemented, as we get more talent infused into our system, I think that it will turn out really well. But right now, we don't have that.
Exactly. And that is exactly what we've been saying. When you don't have the pure talent of the things, you have to be opportunistic. When they slip up, you have to be right there to take advantage
to
of that.
capitalize.
Yeah, exactly. And we've taken the opportunities that are laid down, we seize them, and that's my favorite thing about Clark Lee, is that he has done such a great job of getting us in, taking these positions that are given to us.
Yeah.
Granted, our offense doesn't exactly capitalize on some of them, but our defense really does well.
I think
when they're given something.
Before the Mississippi State game, or maybe during the Mississippi State game, so Jalen Mahoney got an interception in the Mississippi State game. That one that was confirmed. And then the other one I think should have been confirmed if I remember correctly, but it wasn't. It got taken away from him.
They called that one back. It was interesting SEC officiating.
Yeah, SEC officiating hates Vanderbilt.
They called back the Chris Pierce touchdown.
We'll get to that. Hold on. Yeah, that's why I was getting mad a second ago. But the thing is, I think if we got that interception, that second one for Jalen Mahoney, I think we would have had 4 games with 2+ interceptions.
Yeah.
Which is
we take advantage.
Crazy.
Simple.
Anyway, so getting to what actually happened in the Mississippi State game, it wasn't a game after the second quarter. But what happened was they scored on their first drive, blah, 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 7-0. We come in, we score, we punt the ball, they get a field goal, so it's 10-0. We drive all the way down the field, and we throw this pass to Chris Pierce, you said it was? I think it was it Chris Pierce?
I thought Chris Pierce's touchdown they called back was in the Florida game.
Well, there was one of those in the Florida game.
I'm furious about that Florida game touchdown they called back.
But no, there was also one in the Mississippi State game. We had
I don't know who that one was.
It was one of our wide. I want to say it was Will Shepherd. I could be
Might have
wrong.
been. I love.
I think it was Will
Shepherd's
Shepherd.
a good receiver.
Will Shepherd is shifty, but Will Shepherd, he absolutely scored a touchdown. I looked at it during the announcers. Every announcer, every analyst was that they brought up on the TV broadcast was this was definitely a catch.
Yeah.
This was a touchdown, and they called it back. I know
the ruling on the field was a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
So they needed indisputable video evidence.
They determined they had indisputable
and they're like,
video
nope.
evidence. I know the Anchor of Gold Twitter account. They made a joke saying that here comes another apology letter from the SEC officiating.
I'm still waiting on that apology letter.
I'm waiting on the apology letter to the Show 'em the Door
us
mailbox.
personally.
I want
we
for
need
us.
an apology because it hurts to watch that stuff. Because these guys worked so hard to get there.
Right, but
and then have a call back.
So what happened was we ended up kicking a field goal. It was 10-3, should be 10-7.
At least we scored.
Yes,
Big
but
ups,
so then they get the ball back. That's when Jalen Mahoney picks the ball off. So at this point, we're at their 40-yard line, and we're down.
We're in position.
We're down 7, should be down 3, about to take a potential lead. There is a miscommunication. Mike Wright actually throws a pick on the very first play. It was very disheartening. But what happens is after a couple plays, Jalen Mahoney comes up with what should be a second interception.
Right in a row.
It wasn't considered an interception, which is questionable at the very best.
Apology letter number 3.
In that game specifically.
Yeah,
overall 3.
I accept.
We need a little whiteboard that has the counter.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to donate a whiteboard to us.
Yeah, if we need some sponsors. We had the Gatorade bottle in the last one. We were hoping they'd see it. I guess they didn't.
Hoping they'd pick us up.
Yeah,
alas.
They got Enrique, so might as well.
Exactly, get us too.
Yeah, I mean.
I don't see the difference.
I think
between
we're
getting Enrique
for Enrique
to
Bradfield
Gatorade
Jr.
and us.
I don't think there's really a difference.
It's the same tier.
I think we could. cover center field as well as Enrique Bradfield.
Us
Maybe
both.
Both of us.
Like, you in left center, me in right center.
Yeah, I think
there's no chance.
Oh, no, he's definitely better than us.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyway, and so what happened after that is they punted the ball. We went 3 and out because that's what Vanderbilt offense does sometimes. And then they scored, and then we lost the ball. They scored again. By halftime, it was 24-3. And it was those interceptions that we should have had in that touchdown. It created such a momentum swing that I think we got demoralized before the second quarter, and it caused our team to. We ended up losing 45-6, which is
not what we were hoping for in the first quarter, man.
You know
that's what it is. It's demoralizing.
Yeah,
because these guys go out there, do stuff, they succeed. They think they succeed. SEC officiating and maybe blown opportunity says nope, you don't succeed. Good thought, but no. And that's like, it's disheartening to see how hard you've worked, how hard you've gone at these opportunities you've been given, how hard you've gone when other teams slip up, to then not really get anywhere.
Yeah,
you said 6 to final score of 6.
45-6.
45-6. Number wise, looks like we played a horrific game. Just look at that. When you see what we could have been doing, even going up, if we went up, 14-10 hypothetically, in the first quarter, dramatically changes everything.
Right. It changes confidence, which is
so much of sports,
key,
so much of life,
especially in football. It also, like, we were not set up to win that game. Where I think we're set up to do well against Missouri next week, we were not set up to win the Mississippi State game because Mike Leach runs a really spread offense.
Mike Leach.
And that means that you always have like 4 or 5 wide receivers running routes. And I don't necessarily know if we have that many reliable cover corners right now in terms of SEC talent, because Mississippi State gets some good wide receivers.
They have talent.
And so, we were not set up to win. And so I think having that early confidence could have snowballed us into doing what we needed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Getting more opportunity.
The thing is if Vanderbilt is ever leading in a game, then we can rely on our running game and play ball control.
Yeah, exactly.
And we haven't ever been able to do that because we're never really leading in games.
That's the issue.
The thing
is,
if
you aren't winning,
you
can't just wait out the game.
Right. And so
weird how that works.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Groundbreaking football here with Chris Conway.
But yeah, so I guess that's really what happened in the Mississippi State game. So finishing up football with Mizzou next week. Missouri's defense is absolutely terrible. They average giving up 37 points a game.
Good grief.
Mm-hmm.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah, that's real. 37.1.
I feel like I'm being lied to.
No.
That's crazy.
That's a real stat.
This is a prank.
Yeah, no, they're actually the best defense in the SEC.
You got me. Missouri, man.
Missouri's defense terrible. Their offense is good. They average over 150 yards more than we average in terms of offense comparisons. But
cool.
No, that's not the best stat. But what I'm thinking might happen is because their defense is so poor, especially their run defense. If you what I've seen when I've watched a few of the Missouri games is, especially inside zone plays, their linebackers are really terrible at not falling for misdirection and keeping their eyes on the ball. And so what will happen is on inside zone running plays, which is just anytime the running back runs inside the tackles it's called a zone blocking scheme, that's not the point. But anytime it runs inside the tackles,
up the line,
they'll generally get, a lot of yards. Like I've seen 98-yard rushes against Missouri from an inside the tackles run. And so, with how well our rushing game can be developed with Mike Wright, I think our offense has a sizable advantage going into that game.
For sure.
Now, the question is can our defense stop Missouri?
They have a high-powered offense.
I wouldn't say high-powered, but it's definitely better than ours.
They have a high production compared relative to other SEC teams, i.e. Vanderbilt University.
Yeah, i.e. Vanderbilt University. They definitely have a better offense. They average, I think, almost 400-something yards a game.
What would you say is comparable that we've played? Who's the most similar in offensive
I don't think
production?
we have. I would say maybe Florida. The thing is
They-
the Georgia is the best team in the nation, so that's not comparable.
You can't even talk about them in the same sentence as
South Carolina definitely isn't comparable. Maybe Stanford.
Stanford was a pretty good game too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Defensively, we did our thing a little bit. We
I
fell
would-
apart in areas.
I think Stanford would beat the hell out of Missouri.
Because their defense is
Yeah, and so I think
about
that,
as good as I am.
I think that we can beat Missouri. We're favored to lose. That doesn't make sense. They're favored to win by 16 points.
We're favored to lose.
We're favored to lose by 16 points, but I think that we'll at least cover the spread. I have to believe that with how terrible their defense is, that we can keep it within 16.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that if we provide us with a chance to win late in games, I think we have a chance of winning. And I think that if we did win that game, it would be huge for the program.
For sure.
I don't know if we will. I probably wouldn't bet on Vanderbilt winning, but it's probably the best chance we're going to have for the rest of the season to win a game.
Em The Dore does not endorse sports gambling, and we do not give
It's legal.
reliable...
It's legal in Tennessee.
Yes, but we don't endorse it, and we don't tell people what to bet on. Because if they lose money, they'll blame us.
Oh, we're liability now.
Barnacles.
Yeah, but I think Vanderbilt definitely has a decent chance to beat Missouri, which
Sure.
I think you can't say about
A lot of other teams that we play.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it for football. So now we'll kind of go into what happened with the soccer.
Before we move on to soccer,
Oh, I'm sorry.
final thoughts on football in one sentence. Give me one sentence. Sum up the week's
like a full sentence.
I mean, it can be like
Okay, hold on.
independent clause, dependent clause. You want to put a semicolon in there. You can.
Though we are not expected to win games, we play above expectations. That's my one sentence.
I like it. I would have thrown in a semicolon, however, comma in there simply because that's how I roll. But I would say we do not have the greatest talent in the SEC. Semicolon, however, comma. We perform and we have these opportunities, and I see us doing well in the future. I think when we gain more talent, like getting recruits, building up the young people we have. I know we got young guys on the line. We have receivers we're going to continue.
We have
having.
young coaches.
Yeah, we have young coaches.
As they
First
develop.
year as an offensive coordinator. First year calling plays for our quarterback coach, I believe. First year for our head coach.
Yeah.
This is a growing year. You got to remember, we're not expected to do well this year.
No.
With
We're not expected to do well
coach,
next year. I'm not going to sit here and tell you
Give
that
us 5 years, though. I'm loving what I'm seeing.
We should be before 5. It should be around year 3 we start getting some serious development, because then you've had people in your system for 2 years. At that point, you have upperclassmen being able to teach underclassmen in your system. I think at year 3 you need to show signs of life in terms of actually winning games, especially with how bad teams like Missouri, South Carolina. What's the really bad team in the SEC West? I'm used to saying Arkansas, but they're actually decent this year, which is weird.
By some miracle, what in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Kansas.
gonna say Mississippi State. Mississippi State's not a good team, but they have weaknesses that you can exploit, but we just
I
can't
think
do that
most
right now.
teams do, though. And that's what we're good at.
Yeah.
Exploiting.
So I mean, I think that in year 3 we should be able to beat teams like Missouri, South Carolina. I'm gonna say Mississippi State. I want to say even Auburn. I don't think Auburn's a very good team,
Yeah, I'd agree.
and I think that we should at least make that competitive. Anyway, but
And Auburn's orange. That's just not a move to make.
hey, we're not dissing on orange teams now, are we?
Yeah, we sure are. Now to soccer. We've played 5 games since our last episode of Em The Dore, and we apologize for our absence. We've missed you so much.
Yeah.
Chris has been inconsolable,
I've
actually,
been bawling every night
every single day.
on the court. In sadness, I've been putting up shots.
Okay, that's the word of the day. Moving on from that, at the closing of last podcast episode, I said we were probably going to beat the University of Kentucky women's soccer team. We sure did. I'm one for one.
Let's go.
4-1.
Predictions.
4-1. A big win there.
4-1.
Granted, Kentucky is like second bottom of the
They're
SEC.
garbage.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
They're terrible.
But big win there. I
Yeah.
believe it was in Kentucky. So that's
it
nice.
was in Kentucky.
Sure enough. And then that same weekend, I feel like you're not reciprocating my energy.
I am fully reciprocating all of your energy.
I appreciate you, Chris. The next game we played, I believe at the time they were number 5, Arkansas.
Arkansas.
They're top 10 regardless of
Razorbacks.
Indeed, backs of razors. It was a tough game, man. Our defense, really well. I talked to one of the guys, Connor Campbell of the Vanderbilt Hustler magazine or newspaper rather. Newspaper, yeah. It's online, so I guess it's just a website.
Yeah, plug it.
Yeah,
We're plugging the Hustler now.
Hustler. Connor Campbell's our guy. I talked to him about it. The defense, phenomenal. Yeah. Kate Devine. This is the Kate Devine podcast. Today's proponent.
The official Kate Devine fan club.
That's what we do here.
Population probably more than 2, but 2 definite.
2 for sure.
2 for sure.
Some nice saves there. Some nice defensive plays. Offensively, we couldn't get a goal to go. They had more shots than us, I believe.
They had
more shots on target.
Many more shots than us.
True, I don't know the exact numbers, but yes.
I looked at the box score. I don't remember the numbers exactly. I only got to watch the overtime. It was like the end of regulation and overtime. So I didn't get to see a whole ton. Apparently, we played really, really well defensively, though.
Yeah, defense was incredible. We did well. We stopped them. A really great team.
Yeah.
Top 5. They're going places in the national tournament this year. And to do well against them is nice.
Yeah.
However, in overtime...
It was a 50-50 ball. We were tied. It's overtime. We have people subbed out that are probably some of our better players. And...
You've played soccer for what, like 120 minutes at that point?
You've played for a long time.
It's been a long time.
I think it's I don't know. But
moving beyond Chris's lack of soccer knowledge.
I don't have a lot of soccer
knowledge. Really like, though we lost that game, we took them to overtime. A really good Arkansas team. Yeah. We have a young team.
Yeah.
We have a young team. We have a goalkeeper who didn't start last year at all. This is her first year to the starting role.
And she's
performing
doing amazing.
Really well, right? We showed real great signs of life. And contrary to our football team, we actually do win games in soccer. So that's a plus.
Great. We have a foundation to win games in soccer, though. Like, we were a good team last year. So we won
the SEC tournament last year.
Right, and so...
Granted, we had a lot of, turnover. We're on a rebuilding year relative to last year. And we've done really well. To go into overtime against that Arkansas team and do as well as we did is nice. We lost that game in overtime. The very next game we played is another top 10 national ranked opponent in Ole Miss. We lost that game. That game, I believe, was 2-1 or 0-1. I'm sorry, I can't remember this moment.
We lost by 1 point.
We lost by 1 point was the thing, which I'll bring up in the end there. It was a well-fought game. Again, good defense. We were just, outmatched in an away game against a high-powered team. But the fact that we're getting there and doing so well was nice. I believe they're 13 in the nation now.
What I'm hearing is we're playing a lot of teams that are nationally recognized as being some of the best, and when we lose, we're losing in not like a blowout fashion. Like
small margins.
Yeah, and so...
Chris, you're really jumping the gun. I had 2 more games to talk
I'm sorry,
about,
so talk about
and
games.
I was going to say that exact thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
I don't steal your football thunder.
I didn't mean it, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. This is the official podcast of getting rid of Chris Conway.
Omit the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, forget what he just said. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's lying to you. Next game, the University of Tennessee. We win. A top 10 team.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what rank were they?
I believe they were 10.
Okay.
Now I think they're 11. I haven't brushed up on that fact just yet. I just know that they beat the University of Tennessee in 3 straight games against the number 1 team in the SEC, the number 2 team in the SEC, and the tied 3rd team in the SEC. It's all been decided by 1 goal each. We came out winning 1 of them. Some really high-powered teams. We can stop their offenses. Our defense is nice. Our goalkeeping is nice. Our offense, we scored goals. Not enough to beat these massive teams, but enough to beat a top 10 team in Tennessee. We're unranked. We're not in the top 25. To beat teams like this, to keep up with teams like this at a young team is really impressive. The next game we played was another loss to Texas A&M University, who is in the bottom half of the SEC. It was not,
Yeah,
it wasn't a loss in great fashion. However, it was still a one-score game.
That's what teams do though when they're growing.
Yeah, inconsistencies are to be expected.
Yeah.
We keep up with big teams, we lose to little teams. It happens in a team that's growing. Of the 16 players, of the 16 women who touched the field that game, half of them were underclassmen. We have an overwhelming amount of young talent on this team who performs really well. Give them 2 years, they'll develop really well. It'll be really nice, right? Mm-hmm. So if we can iron out these inconsistencies, do well, I really am expectant that we're going to do well in the near future for Vanderbilt women's soccer. I'm actually really excited for that. We play our final regular season game the 28th, which is Thursday, being tomorrow at the time that we're filming this. We play Georgia, who is tied at third with us in the SEC.
That'll be a big game to win.
That'll be a big game to win. Good game for momentum going into, on the 31st, the SEC tournament. I think that'll be really big. We are the reigning champions of the SEC. Not to put any pressure, but this is our turf. This is what we do. We win these tournaments.
So what would you say would you say, okay, that is good enough for the SEC?
In this scenario,
what's
the best?
Well, I'm saying scenario? Obviously we want to win the SEC tournament, and we expect for us to do that. But at what point are you saying this is still good?
That's a really good question.
Is it going to the championship game?
I say an important thing for right now is beating this Georgia team. Okay. If we lose to this Georgia team, we will drop in the SEC rankings. We'll go down, I believe, to 4. SEC teams like Georgia.
If not 5.
I believe there's 1 or 2 other teams tied for third right now with 3 wins, 1 loss, I believe. Maybe 3 wins, 2 losses. I don't know that fact for sure. I'm sorry. But we'll drop. It's really big. It'd be really big of a momentum thing to get a win, especially coming off a loss at Texas A&M. I think getting this next win is vital. And then getting into the tournament, I'd say we have some really nice talent. We have some of the better defenses in goalkeeping, even for a young team in the whole SEC. With even, I believe, 4 SEC teams are in the top 25 rankings right now, which is impressive for a conference. I'd say, with that being said, with 4 I believe they're all top 20 teams, if we get to the semifinals and play a good game in the SEC semifinals, that's success in a year, in my opinion. Obviously, we want to take the title again. With a team like Arkansas up there, it'll be really hard. It'd be amazing if we could. I'd love to see it. I think there's potential for us to.
Yeah.
Given that we have some nice leaders on this team. We have some good seniors, juniors, upperclassmen. We have nice attacking. We have good defense. I think there's real good opportunity. If we seize the moments that are pivotal to these games, we can win it all. Exactly. However, with teams like, a top 10 Tennessee, a top 15 Ole Miss, a top 5, heck, maybe top 3 Arkansas, it's going to be really hard. But I think if we get to the SEC semifinals, it would be a successful year. If we play a good game there, it'll be a successful year. It'll be a nice growth of a rebirth of this team after losing a lot of our talent from last year, being Sarah Fuller and several others.
Yeah.
And growing into the next few years, I expect, some big wins. I think it'll be really interesting and really nice, to do this. The SEC tournament is in, I believe, Orange Beach, Alabama this year. Yeah. It's going to be, I believe, the 31st through maybe the 7th. The NCAA tournament is later, of course, from November to, I believe, mid-December. So that'll be really exciting to see for that. And I think, other than our baseball team, I'd say women's soccer is probably the most productive and highest winning program in Vanderbilt right now. Other than the Show Em The Dore basketball team.
What about women's bowling?
Oh, you have a hard bargain, Chris. Women's bowling right here is going for their 3rd national title. It's going to be real nice. We were the runner-up last year, I believe. We won the title before. We're looking for a 3rd straight title appearance.
Yeah.
Big ups to women's bowling. We're going to cover that more next year. In the next, not years, sorry. Rather, the next few podcast episodes.
Yeah, we'll definitely get some information about it.
If you're a women's bowler, or if you're a woman on the bowling team, and you want to be...
If you're a women's bowler? if you
wanna
were a
be
bowling ball and you would like to be on a podcast, please, for business email inquiries only, email christopher.d.conway@vanderbilt.edu.
No, we have an email.
Oh,
If
we
you
do
would
have
like
an
to,
email.
be on, if you would like to give us an interview, email our email. We have a Show Me the Door email.
It's
a Google business account.
we do.
Chris, what's the email address? I don't know.
The email address is just show. It's show and then DORE @gmail.com.
Simple. Show 'em the door
Show
at
'em the
Gmail.
door.
If you have any questions that you want us to answer on the podcast, if you have any hot takes, anything you want to say to good old Chris and I believe
Yeah.
Chris checks the email, so it's really to Chris that he'll tell to me.
What we think would be really cool to do is once we get a little bit more interaction, is if we could do like a Twitter thing where it's like ask Show 'em the Door or something like that,
Exactly.
and like we could answer fan questions.
We've already received one. You've talked about that earlier.
Yeah, but we want to have like a section that we could do, and we could talk about it during the middle, and we could kind of tie that into how we were going to present different things.
Yeah, that'd be really
But
cool.
yeah, that would just
So if you
that's
have
farther down the
anything to
line.
say to the Show 'em the Door, gentlemen,
Yeah,
hit us up on that email. DM us on Twitter. DM us on Instagram. Really, just get a hold of us. Send us a carrier pigeon if that's what it takes.
yeah.
We love
Handwritten notes make a large impact on my life.
You'll steal my heart with handwritten notes, man.
Mm.
So
Maybe a little
fan
kiss at the
interaction.
bottom.
We appreciate you guys supporting us.
Yeah,
we just sprung this out of nowhere, being like, let's have a sports podcast. We appreciate.
We got like 70 views on our YouTube, along with 15 different unique listeners on Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah, we've got followers on the Instagram. We have people on Twitter following us.
Yeah,
That's incredible. I didn't expect this to happen.
No.
We love all of you who give us your time,
Yeah,
and because that's your biggest commodity is you're giving us your time and you're hearing us.
talk
Hearing
about.
Chris say whatever it is he talks
You're
about.
hearing Willem say that scoring points is good in different sports, and so
That's true, unless it's
unless it's
golf.
golf.
Unless it's golf.
Willem's a bad golfer. He goes for the high
Don't
scores.
disrespect me. Don't disrespect me. Papa Rick is a professional golfer.
Okay, are you Papa Rick?
I'm sorry. Anyways, y'all.
This man right here.
Man, Chris is disrespecting me. I'm sorry I had to take that moment of your precious time to correct Chris's, missteps, if you will. We'll talk about this. We appreciate you. And to wrap us up, our announcement almost completely forgot.
Yeah.
It would have been an error on our part.
I would.
Why didn't you remind me, Chris?
I was going
blame
to.
you. No, you weren't.
Of course
Chris,
I
you don't
was.
have to say that for the podcast people to think you're cool, right? We have a big announcement.
The little
and
people
it is
inside the camera.
the people of the internet.
Yeah.
Hello.
So, announcement.
Announcement. We, as we stated early in the podcast and throughout this episode, and I believe on Twitter and Instagram maybe, we look to have interviews with athletes. And we are currently working, to get a time with an athlete that, I don't know if we should tell them right now.
Are we name dropping?
No, we're not name dropping.
Let's just say that it's a guy.
Hints.
Him.
Mm.
He is a big guy
Pivotal moments he's came
who
through.
has played in really pivotal moments in important times in the season.
The insight he'll bring to this podcast will be incredible, and
It'll be much better than
we'll
anything
get
we
some
can do.
Good stuff. Good
Yeah,
talk with
we
him.
might ask him about a gorilla.
Oh my goodness, you're bringing that up now.
But we'll see. Well, it's gonna be a fun time.
We will announce via Instagram,
Right.
Twitter,
We might-
and such who it is at a later date.
We might have
when
a-
it's going to be. It's going to be a
Yeah.
special episode.
But yeah, we might have a special
We're going to have
episode.
2 episodes that week.
Yeah,
We're going to have our regularly scheduled episode.
if it's next week, if we can get it, it might come out Wednesday. It might.
You're giving away our secrets, Chris.
Well, no, I'm saying it might come out, midweek next week. We don't know if it's gonna come out
Heads up on our Instagram at
Right.
Show 'em the Door.
at Show 'em the Door.
Twitter at Show 'em the Door. We've really cornered the Show 'em the Door name market.
True, I think our SEO is really getting up
Yeah,
there.
literally.
Um,
So if you search us there, you can find out
You'll
who our
find us.
mystery guest is going to be, and we'll announce, when we'll have him on when the episode's going to come out. So,
right.
as always,
Thank you so
we
much
love
for your
you.
time.
I'm in love with you. Simple.
He is.
I
He
am.
talks about you always.
Yeah, literally. You're all I think about. I've
He's
actually
bought a ring.
dropped out of all my classes so that you're the only thing.
He did
You
that. He did that
show
because
me
of his
more.
grades. It wasn't because of you guys.
Disrespect me.
But
Okay.
but thank you guys so much
On
for
that
tuning
note, I
in.
guess.
I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Yeah, I'd like to give a special
And-
happy birthday to Christopher Conway's mother.
Oh yeah, on Friday.
Yep, this
on
Friday.
October 29th.
Lisa Conway. If I can call you Yemma. I
Happy
personally
birthday, Mom.
really appreciate everything you've done for me and Chris, and you mean a lot to us.
Yes,
and we
you
want to
do.
wish you a happy birthday. Thank you very much. And as
Anyway.
always, we
So,
don't have that catchphrase to end
No,
the show
we
with.
don't.
We'll think of one. If you have one you can think of,
please send
email
it to-
us because we're struggling.
Go Doors. No, but,
Anchor down, maybe?
I'm not doing
Seems
that.
a little overused.
It's overused. All right, thank you guys so much for watching.